Oh, apparently I pressed start streaming as well. So welcome everybody. Pressed the wrong button, but I was like 6 minutes late anyway, so it's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna record this one as well because I had this conversation in the comments of one of the videos like a day or two ago, where they were like, can you like talk about like more like macro stuff and more like examples and not just tutorials? And I was like, that's what I usually talk about on stream. Um, but I can see how it's annoying to like dig around in 3 hour long streams, right? So I'm gonna try to, when that happens, I cut that up into a segment and see if that works as like standalone videos. Um, Based on that, because that might actually be like relevant and useful to people. I don't know. So I'm locally recording now as well. Anyway, last time we did stuff, and today we're gonna go do more stuff. I'm also reading the Discord conversation that we were having about eggs and cream. Um, so yeah, we were having some good food conversation because I made me some chocolate chocolatey dessert stuff. I had a bit of a think about this entrance hall. Also, hello everybody, welcome trickling in to the train. I had me a think about the entry hall that we're supposed to build here, right? Because what are we gonna do there? And what I'm thinking is that we should maybe make this a slightly more like platform focused area with some enemies in it, and it's going to be a relatively big hall. And what's going to happen is it's going to go up into two like different exits. One exit exiting immediately into the mineshaft, and the other exits are going into here and then through there and all that kind of good stuff. So those are the two options that we have. And the mineshaft itself, it's probably going to have to be like a fair bit higher up than it is now, because what we're going to end up doing is none of this again actually matters, but for a like sense of spatial consistency, that makes sense. Hold on, probably should take the doors with me. For a sense of spatial consistency, I like to have things more or less line up. Not exactly necessarily, but more or less. So it's probably going to end up being like a fair bit higher than it is right now. And that means that whatever we end up doing with this level, which is probably going to... maybe everything needs to move back a bit into that direction as well. We'll see. We'll end up with something at like effectively what we're going to do is we have from a side view, we'll have the level and we'll enter through here. And then in the middle, roughly, as far as like the depth goes, we'll have an exit. But that exit will be fairly high up. And then at the very other end of the hall, we'll have an exit, but that'll be like on a decently more normal level. That way, this can immediately go into the entrance of the mineshaft here, because I want the mineshaft to be accessible from all sides, because it's the central piece of like this this part of the like society. And then that way we still have some vertical room to play with in these other areas as well, to make them go up a little bit and end up on roughly again the same height level. If some are a little higher up in actuality than others, not a big deal, but they should roughly match up. You shouldn't like climb what feels like half a mile up in this room and then end up here and then not go up at all and also end up here, because that's like kind of breaks space, which is not exactly what I'm looking to do. So what we'll do is we're going to get started here by going into level 2, 3 entrance hall, and we'll delete all of these things. And I'm just going to start by making just a big box, as with so many things. We're just going to make a big ass box. And that big ass box is going to be the floor. Well, no, the thing that I'm... Oh, fuck. Hold on one moment. There we go. So this thing is going to be the floor of that big ass box. And I think we're going to like nullify the rotation for this one as well again. Kinda. Just so that it's a little easier to line things up with like world space and that kind of stuff. This is maybe going to be a slightly too big ass box. It might end up having to be a bit like smaller than this. We'll have to see. This feels like it's quite a lot. It being like 20,000 units long and about 10,000 units wide. But it should be a fairly like impressive hall, because this is the like the entrance hall, quote unquote, of the like church area. So it should be impressive. There's going to be like statues here, broken statues. There's going to be like stained glass in the sides that don't have any light coming through them because we're all underground. But let's not think about that too much. And there's going to be like just a lot of things that's going to take me a mortal age to all do the art for. As well as some platforming gameplay. There needs to be some room to put down some enemies, all that kind of stuff. So there's going to be quite a lot to it here. I think that this is still too big. So let's tone it down just a bit. Like this being, let's make this 7,500 is a pretty good one, I think. And then let's make this one 15,000. That's 1,500. 15,000. That still makes a rectangular hole that is likely fairly like impressive. It should be really quite high as well. And then we'll just make the walls, and we'll see what this actually ends up feeling like. We'll just walk into it real quick, walk around it a little bit, see how long it takes to walk from one side to the other. All that kind of good stuff. What the hell even is going on here? There we go. And with that, I think we'll have a good starting point for this entrance hall, which again, it's not necessarily going to end up being rectangular either. There might be a little more nuanced shape to it, but for now, it's just going to be a big rectangle, as every level starts out as, really. Because that's just how I do. Let's move this to the other side, and that's another level done. We're making good progress. Not quite, really. But we can pretend. Makes me feel good about myself, okay? So this is going to have a door just like smacked in the middle of it, honestly. So let's do a level door. Let's actually just copy over the level door from here. That way it has the proper color to it already as well. And then copy over the transform. And then this should be centered, preferably. So what I'll actually do is, hold on. It's 7,500, right? So if we do plus, what is that? 3,250? That's the wrong axis. But I think it's the right amount. So plus 3,250. Well, now we can just do minus 7,500 and see if we end up in the middle. We do! It works, it works. I mean, this is definitely a contender for best levels of all time already. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to just... Honestly, like, I think the game is finished. Right? Like, there's nothing else I have to do. Like, I have a door. I have a floor. I have walls. I even have a ceiling. Yeah, let's just package it up and publish on Steam. Don't need playtesters. Can all go fuck off. We're done. This is just... Pay me. So this goes to the V hallway, then this will go to the entrance hall. And let's just walk into it to get a sense of scale. Because that's always kind of difficult with these kind of things, is when you're in just like a flying camera mode. Getting a sense of scale can be a real headache to accomplish. So I also don't have my audio. Is there any echo in from the... It's fairly loud, for one. But is there any echo from the sound? There might be. Still, like, imagine a locked door here. Sure, yeah, cool. We need to hide that key somewhere as well. I don't know where yet. Maybe in storage. So yeah, this will feel very imposing walking into this. Imagine it filled with like statues and like golems going up and a lot of like platforming, and you can see enemies walking around. And I think that this has the right scale to feel imposing. But if I can just like walk from one side to the other, it might be a slight bit too large. I won't lie. It feels like it might be a little too long. That's also definitely not in the center. Holy shit. Oh, did I make a mistake in my math? I don't think I did. 7,500. Oh, no. No, I did. 7,500 divided by 2 is not 3250. It's 3750. So we need to add another 500. That's centered. Okay. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to bring this in by, let's say, 1,000 units. Let's say 2,000 units. And then bring both of these in by 500 units. Because I kind of like the shape of this rectangle. I just don't like how deep it is. Does that make sense? So I think moving this around a little to... Does that work? That works. To like make everything a bit smaller, like this, is probably a good idea. And then the big thing is we have the two other doors, right? So we have one door that's going to be... all the way up here somewhere, roughly-ish. Yeah, let's say that it's fairly close to the start, but just high up. Which means that we're going to have a branching path in like the platforming at some point here as well. This feels like a good map to also put a mini boss, doesn't it? Like in a central location that you have to platform to, that you can just entirely ignore if you want, but if you go to it, it has like a good reward or something. Just passing by, I'd say thank you for your gas videos, Loon Lop. That's what they're for. I'm glad that they're being used. I should make more of those. I did a while ago, like a couple of weeks ago, I did like 2 more of them, I think. But I should just keep updating that playlist every so often. More people should be using gameplay ability, I think. Even if you don't use the C++ side. It's a fantastic system. And way too many people make their own custom version of it that is based on actors spawning in and stuff, and that's just I mean that works, but it's maybe not always ideal. That said, if you made something entirely from the ground up, you actually you do know how everything works, so that's an upside. We'll line these up at some point. Okay, so from here, now we actually get to the difficult bit, because now I need to start constructing our gameplay stuff, and that's no fun. Who wants to have gameplay stuff? So let's just start by setting a box that is just like altogether probably way too big. But for like the floor in this area. And then, I don't know. Oh, that's, no. Fuck. Have like a little bit of a balcony going on here or something to have a floor for this area. I don't know what we're going to do with this. I had this idea that there should be a big imposing hall, and that's kind of everything that I got done as far as like inspiration goes before the stream started today. So, hopefully that'll do. Okay, so the thing is, as far as like level progression goes, I don't think it makes sense to make a path that goes up here and then continues to go through up here. I think what we should do is we should make a path that goes to like just a random example location right now would be like make a like platforming path that goes up to here. Maybe a smaller block. And then from there it splits into two paths, right? So one side will then keep going up here, and it'll be fairly straightforward, fairly simple, because that's a linear path. But you can also do a little bit more extra platforming with some other challenges maybe, that then gets you up there. Or we can just treat it as a purely return route. So you can't get up here, it's just a way to quickly get down. But I don't like that. No, I don't like that. Let's not do that. So yeah, my idea about this would be something along the lines of having... That's not what I wanted to do at all. Having these block out... Where are they? Linear stairs. And then making these stairs go up here. And obviously, this is not what we actually want to like go with. Also, I want to keep everything red. And then give them a lot more steps. 100. 100 is probably good. So yeah, have like a staircase on both of these sides, is what I'm thinking. And then have them probably closed. Or do we want to, just as an ID, do we want to have like a curved stair? I also, curved stairs are kind of nice, and they look cool. This doesn't have a gizmo though, so we... stair angle would be like 720. Number of steps would be like, let's say like 90 for now. So it goes in a couple of circles, and then its stair height would be, well, we can actually check that, can't we? 3500. Where is it? Stair height is 3,500. Radius might need to be a little bit bigger, admittedly. Radius is maybe a little too small right now. Let's set the inner radius to like 500 instead. And then the stab width to 250. Might even need to be a little bit more. Well, actually, this needs to probably be... hold on. Yeah, that would kind of... No, that doesn't actually work, does it? Would need to be a wider staircase anyway. But the issue is that this... Like, to connect this to there... You start seeing the issue, right? That doesn't quite work. So it needs to like connect up in a way, something like this at the very like best. And I don't think I like that. So let's not use the curved stairs. But we're not going to use these stairs either, is the thing. Because these are going to be blocked off. And then let's put down like just a block here. So yeah, these are going to be blocked off in some way. The way that I'm just going to block them off right now will just, I think, be... Well, we have a blockout thing for cylinders as well, and that's just going to look a little bit better. So let's use that one. I think we do. Yeah, blockout cylinder. Ideally, like some of this staircase will be broken and unclimbable because of that, and there'll be rubble on it and stuff like that. But that's like all art direction stuff that I don't want to like think about right now. What I just want to do is I just want to say, hey, cylinder radius is big, cylinder height is long. Long enough to block this path. And that's the kind of thing, like, if test players come over here and they're like, oh, I can glitch my way up here, I don't care. It's going to be a different mesh anyway. And then cylinder quality will be like 2. Yeah. The only thing that I need to worry about is the fact that they can't, like, jump from here to there. Or, like, around it or some shit. That might be, like, actually an issue. Aside from that, I think we'll be fine. So yeah, and then we can, if we wanted to, like, move this one down a little more. We also have to worry about the fact that if we're going to do this, that we don't allow anything to jump up to this area and then this area. So the platforming should start like in the back right corner here and make its way across like this to a not too high area, and then the high up area should be problem solved. Never mind. We can just do that. Right. It's still on a radius a little smaller, height a little longer. This is not an exact science by any means. We can probably walk under this at that point, I imagine. But not if you put like another rock there or something. We'll figure something out. But this is going to be the tricky part. Is making something that allows me to platform around. And initially we're just going to make all of this static, and then maybe we'll add in some moving elements at some point. But for now, let's just make all this just static boxes that we can just jump up on. That aren't like ridiculously big either. And remember, there's also going to be like enemies placed in here at some point. So let's just kind of copy this over and immediately start making our way over to like this area. And then immediately start making our way like back into the level as well. So what I'm thinking is maybe this should go back to the ground, and we can make this like a pillar. I don't know if these jumps are makeable. This jump feels like it's probably not makeable, but maybe with ledge grabbing it is. The issue with these block out tools is that I can't actually easily make them grabbable. Because I don't have access to the static mesh components, so I can't set their collision setting fairly easily. There's also the issue with the way that I'm setting things up right now, that I need to go all the way to the back of the level to start actually interacting with any of the gameplay elements, which means that there's still going to be... We already have all of this, like walking up a staircase, through this door, through a part of a hallway, up another staircase. Nothing engaging is happening like this entire time. Then we get to this room. That makes sense, actually. That's gonna be fixed. But then we get to this room. From the other side. Sticky keys. No, please. And we are seeing like imposing stuff happening now, but before we can actually do anything, we still need to make our way all the way to the other side of this hall. So what I'm thinking is we probably should put in like some kind of like immediate challenge to face. To even get there. So what I'm thinking is we probably like have a like pillar that has fallen down across. That we just need to platform over. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. Let's just reset your rotation, actually. Just something to engage the player at this point, because, again, there's just been a couple of rooms of literally nothing happening this entire time. So if we just have, like, this pillar, and we can maybe add in, like, a slight bit of rotation here, just so long as we don't allow you to slip like under it too much. That should be fine. I think how big is the character? That's a fantastic question. We probably should just know that as a reference. If I put a blockout box next to you. Okay, so you are about like 2.5-ish, I think. Let's get your, well, not your transform, only your location. Yeah, so you're about to... You start halfway up this, and about 2 of these like big squares. So it's about 200 units tall. So any place that we create room in needs to be like 150 at most. This might be like a little too like squeeze-inable, which is a word that now exists because I say so. Then again, that's also a thing to like just test out a little. And then we have like a fallen over statue or something like that here as well to block your path, which we can represent with something. I mean, surely one of the asset packs that I have has like a statue, right? Yeah, we can use this one. It's just kind of annoying that it has its pivot point at the center, but sure. Let's make this global space. And this is exactly the reason that it's annoying that the pivot point is at the center and not at the base of the statue. Why would you ever want to have the pivot point of such a thing not at the base? I don't really get the reasoning behind that. Like everything that I'm doing here, like rotating it could also happen if I was rotating it from the base. Just not very well like thought out, I would say. And the entire thing just becomes so much smoother if it can be all rotated from the base. I can just move the pivot point, I know. Okay, now I can go back to global space and move this thing so that it doesn't clip too much into the wall. You might be able to walk through here, but I can always like place blocking volumes to stop you from going through there. As long as you can't go over it, that's the important bit. And then like another type of statue, like I don't even know what the fuck this is supposed to be, but it's going to be blocking your way. Well, this kind of fallen off the like the pillar or something, right? Nope, it cannot because it does not have a base. Which doesn't matter, I know, but it's gonna bother me. So yeah, maybe this entire thing is a little like on the wide side as well. If I'm having this much trouble. Actually, if we're using these statues, we might as well just like... Right? Do we just have like boulders or something like that? We do. That's not a boulder, that's a pebble. Also doesn't have a fucking material. Rock. It's a snow gathering rock. That's not exactly what I want. It's not the type of rocks that I want, but they'll do for now. Just make them a little bit bigger. That's more the type of stuff that I'm talking about. And to be fair, I might just keep these rocks. Maybe remove some of the normal maps of them, because they are a little like over detailed, I think. Because maybe just like all together give them a different material, to be fair. Because rocks are another one of those things where I'm like, ah man, this... Am I gonna spend time making custom rocks for this game? Probably not, right? Okay. Well, that is a very painfully obvious blockade, but now I can make something that is a little bit more contained here to make a little like platforming section. I just gotta check how like skippable it is, because presumably none of that is final art, so I'm gonna need to retest that anyway. I don't want sticky keys. Go fuck yourself. I don't know. I probably should just not have that on shift. Probably should just plug in my controller for the testing that I'm doing. But here we are. Okay, so still wrong side. This might actually be an issue. Well, no, I can test this from both sides. If I can get in from one side, I can get in from the other side. But I would still prefer to just test it from the proper side. So there we go. I can... Okay. Well, I can't jump over that. But that's also not exactly... Okay, I need to look into that. And I can jump over these like super easily. This is not even close. Okay. Yeah, that's not ideal, I would argue. But what if... Hold on, what if this is just the way that we start the platforming? Hold on, that could be kind of cool, because this could be... Yeah. Yeah, ooh. Because we can, like, walk over this as soon as I go in and actually generate, like, halfway decent. We might just use complex collision for this mesh. For now, again, it's going to be a custom mesh that's maybe going to need to have wings if we actually do this as a level design thing. But yeah, if we show the simple collision here, it's maybe a little too simple. So what we might do is set this to more detailed. That might work well enough. But what we might need to do is what... Wireframe. As a static mesh, we can probably just use the complex collision for this, right? It's got... Yeah, it's only got about 9,000 triangles. That's not an insane amount to use complex collision with, I don't think. It's not nothing, don't get me wrong. It's still... Still quite a lot. Complex collision, there we go. Use complex as simple. And then these rocks, we just like take all of them. And we just say, hey, you're even bigger now. And I like move them back a little. We'll get there. Move this in a little. Move that over a little as well. And we can just... Like, we can just put in a blocking volume. To prevent anybody from, like, actually doing any weird stuff here. I think a little bit better. But that's gonna... no, I don't... We just need to make sure that we can't climb up onto these. Because doing things with blocking frames is going to be weird if we can, like that, walk over these and that kind of stuff. But this could also be the start of... Ooh, hold on a moment. Okay, so we're definitely going to get rid of, like, these blocks. But this could also be the start of the choice which direction we want to go, because we've got these two little different angel statues, which again are going to be different statues at some point, surely. One of which is pointing that way, and the other one is pointing this way, right? So those can just lead into two different platforming pathways. The only question that I have is, like, does this block too much of the view of, like, this being, like, imposing and scary? I don't know. I also think that for testing purposes, what we should do is we should just open up this level. No, actually we shouldn't, because I always mess it up. I should just... What I should do, much better idea, I should just put a save point there and make a save there. Did I call it save point or checkpoint? I call it checkpoint. I sometimes forget that I'm, like, the developer of this game, and I can do that. I can just put stuff in places, even if it's temporary. That is a thing that I, in fact, am allowed and able and capable to do. So, how are all of you people doing? See, because I don't want to do this walk every single time. It's already bad enough that this is probably going to be, like, in the actual game. The fact that this... Also, we don't have to worry about that anymore. Well, this doesn't quite make sense, but hey, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, I probably don't want that to, like, be too accessible now I think about it. But yeah, I can very much, like, just jump onto here. Oh, maybe I... yeah, you can. But that's not a big deal. Because this doesn't allow you to, like, do any weird skips. It's just if you can jump onto this. Like, ideally the way you get on is... Oh, this material is fucked with a cell shader. Holy hell. Ideally, the way you get onto these wings would be actually through platform. Oh, hold on. You don't even just walk up to it. You actually have to platform over these rocks to get there with the way it's set up now. Which is probably better, to be 100% honest with you. But that does mean that these things need much more detailed collision. And then this is going to be the optional path because it also requires a dash. Fantastic. So yeah, let's go into these rocks. And set all of them to... I didn't make a save file! Okay, we'll need to do that in a moment. And set them to use complex collision. I don't know if that's going to make things better. Also, what is the... Yeah, so these are nanites. Yeah, we might need to, like, make custom rocks, but for now... I guess when you're close up to them, nanites shouldn't, like, do weird stuff with the fruit, but it does mean that they have... What is the difference between nanite triangles and nanite... Oh, it's because they're... Never mind. I was going to say normal triangles and... Has fallback triangles as well. Huh. Anyway, these things have about 25,000 faces, so the complex collision is going to be maybe a little bit more heavy for them than it is going to be for, like, these angel statues. And while we're at it as well, actually, I think they all share the same material. Yeah, they do. So we... just set this to like a blank normal map. Why would I use base flatten normal map? How big is it? 1 by 1. All that I care about is the fact that the normals, yeah, so don't want to use that. Does it make it look any better? Yeah, that does make it a little bit better, but it's only for one of the rocks, it seems. Do they really have their own individualized materials? Why would they? If it's all like waterline stuff anyway, that's fucked. Holy hell. Might be like different instances with different like other types of stats. Like scaling and stuff. Yeah, these do seem to share something. So, okay, now the only thing is the moss still has weird, like, normals. Okay, let's see. Is there anything that we can do here? I shouldn't think about this too much because we're going to use other materials anyway at some point. But that does help a little bit. Okay, let's try again. And this time, make a save file. Before you do anything else, hold on. Okay. That's gonna make me spawn at the right door now. No, it might not. Hold on. Because we still have a door up here that also links to the... At least that will just be a matter of falling down, so it'll be a lot easier to... Wrong save file. To deal with. Wait, can I go through things with my dash? Huh, seems like I can. Can I go through walls with my dash? No. Okay, sure, I don't know what's up with that, but fine with me. Okay, before we do anything else this time, go into the save game menu and we'll just set... I mean... Sure, man. What the fuck? Oh, because it puts you, when you load a save file, at a door with no destination. Okay, so... we're just going to put these at destinations to other levels. Like 04 hallway and then 0 to combat tutorial. Because now they have destinations, so they shouldn't interfere with my save point. There we go. Okay, we can now more easily jump onto these. They are fairly accurate as far as collision goes. To get to this one, I mean, you can glitch up a little bit, but preferably you use a dash. And then you get to this one, and you... it's a little tricky, but we'll just make the tips of the wings a little bigger in the actual meshes that we're going to be using. And then from here, we can do some platforming, which still we need to platform into that away. I think. So that we don't create a scenario where you can easily like jump dash over this. You might already be able to actually, because I did see in the playtest somebody kind of making a flying thing happening with the sword attack and dash. Don't know how to replicate it yet, but If you do that properly with a dash, you might be able to get all the way over there. You might be able to. I think we're good, actually. Unless... Is that a thing? I think we're pretty much good. Okay. From there, we have to actually start doing some platforming stuff. So let's put down... Actually, let's make this with a cylinder. We have all these different shapes. Not everything has to be a literal block mesh. It's still going to be a block mesh, but it doesn't have to be a mesh that's a block. That makes sense. So we can just use a block-out cylinder for this. Let's say quality 1. Maybe quality 2. Height's significantly higher. What the fuck? Sure. Okay. So that'll be the first thing to jump to, and then I'm thinking broken pillar. Yeah. Like broken pillar, and then for platforming purposes, we are going to just put a box on top of that, because otherwise it's going to be hard to land on. In actuality, what this will probably end up being is just a mesh that has a more flat top. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with actually making this all red. It really doesn't matter. But okay, but now we get to it should go the other way as much as possible, because we need to start like gaining height, and as we gain height, we need to remove ourselves spatially from this area. So we actually should be platforming into this direction. Matter of fact, we might actually want to platform back over into this direction again. Just as a purely mechanical platforming object, that is. I don't know what this would be like in context, but well, let's make it go all the way through there. Because even if we go to the center here, that doesn't like work that well. And if we go too far into that direction with the platforming for right now, eventually we will. And we'll probably like put down some enemies here and like some extra treasure. But it's going to be too easy to cheese this. Which also maybe can do with just being up a little bit higher for both of these. To make them slightly less cheesable, hopefully. So yeah, this is probably going to be what we are going to be dealing with. But as we're building this out, I'm trying to think, unlike the purple dungeon, which I have been designing purely on just like... This thing is a gameplay platform that you jump onto. I'm trying to think, how can we make this like contextually exist within like the universe? Like, what are the things that we're jumping onto, so that it actually feels like a living space, an abandoned living space, but it's a real space, and not necessarily like a video game level. It is a video game level, and it's gonna feel slightly like a video game level because like these statues falling down in such a way to allow you to. Of course, it is a video game level, but you also want this to feel somewhat like plausible. And part of that is the issue of me figuring this out when I do the art. But as I'm thinking about this while constructing, it can also like inform where I place things and how things are placed and that kind of stuff. Like the way that these are pillars that have fallen over. Which, like, maybe actually like reach all the way like through over there or something. I don't know how that would even work, but it's worth exploring. Because otherwise you just get into a situation where like we just do stuff like this and then I don't know, starts being a little bit uninspired and just like randomly placing blocks down. Which I don't love, personally. And then we have the issue that there's going to be like a contradictory path going through all this. So maybe we don't do like the two paths splitting here. Maybe we do one path that splits a little bit higher up. One thing that I do think I like is the idea of having a fairly central in this entire thing. Fairly high up as well. Let's just give it a height of about 100. And then the radius is going to be a lot bigger. And then this can like hang off of the ceiling with like chains. So for now, the way that'll look will probably be like this in every corner. But that will be a platform that we, again, maybe like if this is big enough, maybe it needs to be a little bit bigger. Could maybe even do like a mini boss one. And if you unlock, like activate the mini boss, probably like activate some extra collision around the area so they don't fall off mid-fight, that kind of stuff. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. Let's just make the cylinder radius a little bit bigger. This is not even like close to symmetrical, but it's fine for now. it's really bad. Sure. But you know that gives you something that is like, I don't know what this would symbolize, but this is something where like we can have a little bit of like a story going on, and then like even this door suddenly makes a little bit more sense because it can be an access door for whatever the fuck is happening up here. Like maybe this is a fucking giant incense thing, right? Very important to say incense and not incest there. Which is also going to work with, maybe then move this all down a little bit more to make this the way we get to here. And especially if this is guarded by like a mini boss as well, that could actually work quite well, I think. So I like that idea. Again, this might need to just like be bigger. Because fuck knows who, how big that is going to be. Like, is that big enough to have a fight against an enemy? Is the question. And the answer is, there's fucking one way to find out. Like, get this location. Can I just apply that to the player and will it just pop up there? Get this plus like 200. And voila, we're up there. Yeah, this might be a little tiny for a mini boss fight, but then again, for a mini boss fight, this might actually also not be that bad. Why can't I dash? My dash ability doesn't work for some reason, but let's ignore that for now. With a dash, we can definitely make that jump as well. Why didn't my dash work? Where the fuck am I? What the hell? Is that what happened when I started a new game? What? Spawn tutorial? Why does it spawn me here? What the fuck? Do I not have a save point in here anymore? What is going on? I know, that's kind of weird. Should put me... What the fuck? Does it do that with other save locations as well now? Yeah. Okay, that's... worrying. Why does it do that? Because it doesn't do it with that one. I feel like for some reason it has something to do with these two. This is 0 to combat tutorial and this is 0 for hallway. Neither of those should even impact the 0-7 one though. I just need to rework my load game like positioning code, I think, but it's not important for now. Yeah, so let's just put down like a... actually, I have like a like ghosts. We can start as active. And we have like a mini boss data table for you. And I'll do one better. I can just copy your location now and paste that in. It's going to make my life a lot easier. Yeah, so like, is this, aside from the fact that I'm not dealing any damage, what the fuck is going on with anything? Because I also still cannot dash. And I clearly am only dealing 1 damage. It's not initializing my stats properly? What's going on? Something weird's going on with load game. It's the fact that I'm being moved. Okay, if it's the fact that I'm being moved, we'll just do for this. I don't know if that's also the thing impacting the fact that I'm not dealing any damage. We'll have to see. If it is, that's highly fucking weird. It's not that important for the actual game. In the end, let's just put you down there. It's all temporary dev stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. But yeah, that makes this jump like fairly easily gettable, I would say. If you miss this, it's kind of a you. And it's still... I'm still not dealing any damage. Is it because I don't have like any stats at all? What are my stats like? Yes. Okay. Anyway, this probably is fairly tight for a mini boss fight. And a mini boss fight is gonna have to be a little bit more involved than this. But I do think that putting a mini boss in here is a fun idea. What the fuck even is like the stats table for this dude? His max defense is 100. That means I'm only dealing 1 damage, man. That cannot be the case. Oh, unless, hold on. I did change a thing, didn't I? Damage, yeah, damage should be 10. For the second attack, at the very least. Unless I did something. So yeah, it's damage multiplied by my strength stat. And then it's piercing damage plus piercing damage. Gets sent in as the damage and the piercing damage. So that makes sense. What is the... I know that this is not what we're doing right now, but this is bothering me. Is it just that this thing is like insanely overpowered, or is something broken? That's the thing that I need to know. So let's put 2 of them in here. I don't know what just happened, but let's put a second one in here with the normal... Why does it have 2 fucking stats components? What the hell? What the fuck? That might be the issue. The fact that I had 2 stats components. I don't know. Yeah, so let's set this back to just normal ghost and see if both of them respond more or less the same. Obviously, if it's going to have more defense, it's going to respond differently, but... Yeah, so something is definitely fucked, because that's 10, 10, 20, 20. Something is weird. Is it to do with the load game thing? Again, none of this works. What? I didn't change anything about the loading. I'm going to recompile real quick. Just to see if the engine is just doing weird stuff. Because why is that suddenly behaving differently? Did I do anything about the level instance or the game instance loading system on Tuesday? I'm trying to think. I did go in there at some point and change something. I just don't know when and what. It was to do with the load game. And it was stats initialization, I believe. But that still wouldn't explain why the positioning is all kinds of weird and wacky. So... let's just go into the persistent world. Yeah, so that works now. Do I deal proper damage as well now? Was it literally just an engine thing? Yeah, no, that's still kind of fucked. Well, at least one of the issues wasn't actually an issue, but let's... This works perfectly well. So new game works fantastic. If I load game at spawn tutorial, I think maybe load game doesn't initialize stats and the stats are all just 1. No! This works fine as well. So it is specifically this save that is fucked. I guess. Okay. Not sure what's going on there, but if it's specifically something with that save, I probably just fucked something up in my testing. And it's not actually an issue. Is what I hope. So for now, let's just keep the one with the mini boss stats in there, and let the other one go, which means that we're going to need a navmesh volume here. Navmesh bounce volume. Hello? Did I put in a modifier? Do these things not... No, they should. Right? Do the... Specifically the cylinders not generate nav meshes? No. What the fuck? Okay, so now what's up with this? Yeah, no, those nav meshes do show. Oh, it is a modifier volume that I just added. I am just an idiot. I just added the wrong thing twice. Yeah, no, that's on me. That's just my mistake. Okay. And then we have a trigger volume. The reason I would do a volume is because this way I can set the brush components. In theory, hopefully, maybe. Or maybe not. I was thinking that we can set the brush component to being a cylinder. Oh, there we go, brush shape. Cylinder. There we go. It can be relatively small. Slightly more sides. So yeah, when the player enters this and this fucker still like exists, we'll make a blocking volume, which again is going to be a cylinder, but this one will be hollow. So there we go. Outer radius will be, let's just take the position from this one and apply it to this one real quick. So that way we can very easily just say, hey, outer radius, you're going to be this thick, like 32 segments or something like that. And then the inner radius is just going to be like slightly lower. And then the Z height will just be tall. That's probably good enough. I want the default to be that it doesn't actually do any collision stuff. Can we set that anywhere? Like just collision disabled? Oh, we might need to do that through the level blueprint. Yeah, I think we do. In which case, let's just get references to all of these 3 things in there. Sublevels 2, 3. Because we're going to need to do a couple of things. Great references. Trigger volume. Bind on overlap. Actual begin overlap. There we go. Like a custom event on mini boss entered. Other actor goes to third-person character for effectively a class check. And if it is, what we do is we set collision enabled for the entire actor to true. And we set this to false right off the bat at begin play. And then when this is enabled, no, we do this differently. The first thing we do is we bind on when the enemy is destroyed, and then we just destroy the other thing, 2 things as well, so that nothing else can like happen with them anymore. Mini boss kill, and that way, if we enter this room and this thing is set to destroy itself because it's in the ID list of recently defeated enemies and that kind of stuff, it will also like delete the other 2 things. With it. Why can I not type destroy? Holy hell. So yeah, that should pretty much do it. I might legitimately just make a different save real quick by playing through the entire thing. Or at least playing through the night boss fight. So I have proper stats. Coming up. Because I want to be able to test whether or not that thing dies. First and foremost though, entering this, I can no longer leave. So that's a good thing. But now, in order to be able to leave, he needs to die. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but that's quite a tall order at the moment. So the way that I'm going to fix that, for now, is with free experience. I think that's 200,000. That should be enough. Stats. Hey, strength goes all the way the fuck up. I don't know what the maximum stat for strength is. I think, yeah, 40. So yeah, this is going to absolutely annihilate him, I think. Well, not even that much, because it just doubles my strength and adds 15 piercing damage. The 15 piercing damage is actually significant, but it's not even that much, to be honest with you. To the point I'm like, maybe we can actually like do something with that. Yeah, now something is just like deeply wrong because it doesn't do anything. I think maybe like the enemy multiplier, like difficulty multiplier I have, but they're also like dealing only 1 damage to me. Oh, I think I know what's happening. So the the minimum amount of damage that either party can deal to the other is 1. The enemy multiplier like modification that I have is it's just a float value that like damage gets multiplied by and then clamped between like 1 and whatever. That might be just 0, meaning that every hit always does 1 damage. I think that's what's going on. So that value should probably be clamped to always be at least 1. Prevent this kind of bullshit. Because this is effectively just a bricked save file. Luckily for me, that's pretty easy to fix for now. Cast to game instance. No. Get game instance is what I mean. And then we're going to cast to the blueprint. Game instance. And I think we set enemy difficulty multiplier, whatever the fuck it's called. Is it in the game mode? Add enemy multiplier. There we go. So let's just add 1. I can't directly set it because it's a C++ variable, but I think this will fix mostly everything. There we go. So now everything works as it should. And I can actually kill this thing, which... yeah, so it has a fuck ton more HP than a normal enemy would. Also don't know what happened there. Should also be more aggressive, it should have a different behavior tree, it should be, like, preferably a different character as well. But yeah, so this works fairly well as, like, just an area to put down a mini-boss, I think. And then I can exit this area again. The more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm like, no, this should definitely just be an area that we enter through like this. Because especially if this is going to be like a mini-boss area as well, right? I think just having this sectioned off like this and not having platforming going up to here makes perfect sense. I think that's the way that we should do it. This is not going to be a different like exit to the central area. This is just if you make it to the central area and go through here, you end up here to fight that mini boss. I think that makes a lot of sense. Now that we have all that out of the way, little bit of a detour, but we're back with the platforming. Let's see if the platforming that we actually put down is possible, because it being possible is like quite important. This is not a big deal. That's also not a big deal. That's impossible. Did you build with C++, Blueprint, or both of them? I use both for a lot of stuff. Like the very like base important stuff, things that like happen a lot, things that influence like very basic things, as in very fundamental things, tend to be C++, but like scripting out simple level stuff like this, I do in Blueprint, because otherwise like it's more bothersome to do in C++, frankly. Let's see if we can't do something funny here, like make like a plank that we can walk over. It's kind of fucked, but it it's not bad. Like if that's like if this is a thing, I don't know what it would be yet, but it would be a thing. And this would be like a platform that overlooks the entire area, because that's what I'm thinking right now, kind of, right? As a idea, and again, a lot of this is art related, but it's good to like keep this stuff in mind as you like make this. So we would have like a railing here that we hold on. That goes like all the way over here. And then it would also ideally have like railings going over here and over. Very rough stuff, okay? Very, very rough. And like over here, but then the railings would be like broken so that we can walk past them in here very easily. And suddenly this feels like a viewing platform. And your view is nothing, but it's a little bit more motivated as to like what is actually going on here. And then everything needs to be like level with the actual like platform, of course. But that's not that big a deal. But then from there, what do we do with platforming, eh? I think from here, maybe I should look at some images of cathedrals. Where is my browser? There we go. Cathedral inside. Yeah, so if we look at these, right, what we can do is we have like these. Yeah, I think maybe that's what we're looking into. Obviously, this is not actually like a cathedral, but it's supposed to kind of vibe with that. And you have these like, I don't know if these are like candle holders, like chandeliers, or if these are like incest. I said incest, god damn it. Incense. I always, when I say incense, I'm like, don't say incest. It's gonna happen. This is a Minecraft? It is. That might actually be good inspiration in some ways. So yeah, what I'm kind of thinking is maybe like some of these pillars that you have like along the way, right? Because that's like, you see that in a lot of places. So like you have these pillars for like just structural support, right? Are you by any chance Belgium? I don't know if there's like a stereotype about Belgians being into incest, but no. So yeah, if we have those pillars like this, right? Well, at this point, I'm like, maybe we do need the entire thing to be wider again. Or deeper. Because these pillars feel like they're too close together. And this pillar is necessarily needed for platforming. It feels like there should be like at least like a pillar over here as well. And then Oh my god, is that online? Is that online? I don't think that's online, man. But that's easy enough to fix, hopefully. There we go. Like this makes a certain amount of sense. And then we can use this to like increase the height a little bit. And that's suddenly now a platform, right? Kinda. But that's not even what I wanted to use that platform for. The idea that I had was copying one of these over and just increasing the radius to like 350, height to 100, and suddenly, well, maybe more than 350. And suddenly this is a place that we can stand on. We're definitely going to need something like in between on like the wall here or something. But that like kind of works to get you across. So that way you like platform from here to here to here to here. You walk this bit, you jump onto this, you jump onto a thing here, which allows you to jump onto this. Which, honestly, at the point that you're here, you might be able to just like dash cheese this anyway. Unless this is like an arch that you can then platform on top of. Ooh, I like that. Do we have like anything to build an arch with? I think we do, like this tube. Like the angle should be 180. And then section should definitely be like 32. Maybe we need to flatten this out a little bit as well, but definitely make it thicker. And then just take this and squeeze it down slightly so that it's like a little bit more walkable. And at that point, we can take this to just like let you jump over here, and that's the platforming done. Doesn't need to be like an entire platform thing. This is not even like the platforming room. It's just a room with platforming, right? If that makes sense. Like within the context of the game, every dungeon has a room dedicated to platforming that gives you the key to the boss door. That's not this room. Maybe this does need to be. I'm just kind of thinking. Because maybe this like connects up to here. Does that make sense? I don't think that makes sense. I mean, aside from height, we can just make this thing go up a little bit higher. Like there we go, right? And then these staircases also need to be adjusted, blah, 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 blah. But aside from that, I just don't know that this makes a lot of sense. Physically, like what the fuck is like this about? So I don't think that that's a thing to do. But like, I definitely don't hate the idea of connecting everything like up with these arches so that it feels a little bit more in place. Like more or less. Right? And then we make them all red because that's what we do. With actual assets, like this one will be broken off and there will be pieces of them on the ground and that kind of stuff. And maybe, just maybe, we can do like one of these. This might still be a pretty tricky jump, man. I feel like that's still going to be a pretty tricky jump to make. In like all regards. And what I also don't want to have happen is people like landing on this and I'm trying to jump over here and missing and having to do everything over again. Or even worse, getting on here and like not being able to fit through there. So this needs to be heavily disincentivized. But what we can do, of course, this would make a lot of sense to exist. Just make this like 90. Okay, that doesn't fully make sense the way that that rotated. Oh, no, it does. It's just... There we go. Maybe like make it 120. Just 100. There we go. That works. Oh, and then what we can... Ooh, could even do is this. And maybe we'll just swap these around, to be honest with you. Because what we can then do is make this one a little less high. Make this one... And suddenly, we have some platforming that, again, like within the theming, makes a bit more sense to what's going on here. We're platforming over the like remains of these structures. But it's still a pretty like clear path as to what the game expects you to do, hopefully. So I think I like that. Like this is still stupid, but it still is like it's a broken down pillar. Just needs to maybe be a slightly easier jump to be able to make. And we'll hollow out some of this maybe to like make this make a little bit more sense as a jump to like get onto in the first place, because this seems like it might be slightly awkward to do. And all of these are going to have one of this, but we'll like break off part of this so that it's like clear that you're not supposed to be like jumping onto these. Yeah, again, a lot of art related heavy lifting going on here, but I think it'll work. And then once we're on this pillar over here, I think what we'll end up doing is... We'll rotate it around in a moment. A little something like this. And then this should be a fairly easy, like, makeable jump over there, right? It might even be makeable from here, but, I mean... Can we just... Hold on. Can we just like set the thickness of these? Yeah, so we probably should just be using the tubes for these so that we can more easily adjust the angle that we want to be able to use for these. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, that works a bit better, I think. Sometimes you gotta remember that you have more tools in your toolbox and not just stick to only the primitives. Yeah, so this can be like... Again, disincentivize doing weird stuff. Because I don't want people to think that they should be making the jump to over here, because I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, okay, so let's just do a run through of what we have here, because it's very likely that a lot of these jumps aren't actually makeable as of right now, but like just walking into here with all these things, like there's a lot more happening now. Like when you walk into this room, you're like, this is a thing. I don't know what the fuck is happening, but it's a thing. It's not just a rectangle anymore. It's a rectangle with things in it, which is marginally better. So yeah, we can, like, this is fairly makeable. None of this is particularly like difficult platforming at the moment, I don't think. That is a pretty tight jump, maybe a little too tight, but that's pretty makeable. And then we have this, which is, ooh, not makeable. That's, in fact, not makeable at all. Yeah, that's not great. I have an idea. I don't know if it's a good idea, but I have an idea. And the idea is... probably bad. But it's an idea. Let's just copy over the X and Y positions for these, that they match up precisely. There we go. And we can rotate this around ever so slightly. Give it... Yeah, so you jump from there to there, which is a little lower down. 13,400. So yeah, the way that I'm going to do this is just this, and I'll set it back to 13,400. And you jump onto this, and then yeah, I think that works a little nicer. And like this structure still being held up by everything else. I don't know if it's necessarily believable, but it's believable enough, right? I hope. Let's just pretend like they fuck. Let's look in the chat to see if anybody is responding. Yeah, so the collision on these meshes is a little fucked, to say the least. But we'll replace it with better meshes, so we'll be fine. Yeah, I think that is... It is a makeable jump, it's a possible jump, obviously, but I think it's a little too tight. I also think that there needs to be something to very much grab your attention towards there, because I feel like this is the obvious jump to want to make. But obviously, as we just saw, it's either not makeable, or it's just too difficult. But aside from that, like, this is all entirely fine, and this is like... Well, actually, it is possible to miss if you don't dash, but... and then you are finally up here, which is good. So yeah, I think that's pretty good platforming, because you're making like your way through the entire thing here. So like we're actually using the space properly. I'm quite happy with that. At least as a block out, obviously. A lot of this is me saying, oh, we'll put art in place there and we'll be fine. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll have to see. And again, the collision for these are just a little wacky, but that's kind of what you're going to get. Something needs to be like up with this area as well. We can't put too much in here because then it becomes maybe too easily cheesable to like jump your way up here, but something needs to like be happening there as well. I just don't know what yet. Like initially I'm thinking this is an area where I'm going to put some enemies down, because we can't really put enemies in this area, like on this side of this full-on statues, because that's a little too close, I think. Enemies up here also doesn't fully make sense, because they're so close to the door. So there's definitely going to have to be some enemies down here. So let's just put down a couple of ghosts. I don't really have any like enemies specifically for this area quite yet either. So we'll need to get to that. Have you tried the USD stage editor plugin? I have not, but I maybe should be looking into it if it's a good thing. And then put down like some zombies as well or something. What exactly does it do? The plugin. And then one demon, why not? And then we have, that's an examine actor, enemy activator. That should probably be in my favorites as well. Enemy activator. So we just put the, honestly, this entire region, I would say. There we go. And then we just need to add in these 5 enemies for it to activate. So we have some combat going on here as well, and then we'll... Oh, it's actually 6. What? No, it's not. What? Oh, I just added 4 slots. And then like put in like a chest with some items in it or something. In Blender, you can export your scene or animations in USD and seamlessly bring it in Unreal 5 with all the meshes, data, textures, animations. Oh yeah, I have seen that. I don't really care about it, to be honest. But I've seen that. Yeah, I looked into it for a potential workflow to get like more art in place as I'm blocking out levels and I'm making the levels themselves a while ago. And what ended up just being the case is having the possibility to do a lot of more art stuff just distracts from the actual like level design itself in a lot of ways, because you're suddenly looking into, okay, but now I also need to like make my level immediately with good topology, which makes it like a lot more destructive in its workflow. And I just want to make something bad on a technical level that plays well, and then start worrying about like making it look good and making it like neat and stuff. Just kind of the same way you do the entirety of development, right? You make it work first and then you make it good. So that's kind of but maybe for like replacing a block mesh with the actual like art assets, that might still make a lot of sense. That might be a good use case for it. Wait, does this work? Does that work like that? It certainly does seem like it. Okay then. So yeah, this chest we can just, we'll probably move it around. But let's say this contains 10 magic essence, and then um, 2 ethers. So yeah, it's fine that we can just kind of like go over here. Oh, it's a chest! Yay! Is it the blockout tools plugin you're using? Yes. Fantastic tool. And then they all spawn, and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die, and there's no nav mesh here, so you're actually not. Never mind. This probably should also be my favorites, to be honest with you. As should all the enemies, but we'll add those eventually into the favorites. Yeah, I think the nav mesh for these guys only really needs to extend to this side of the arena, so this is probably like fine. If you manage to hit them over and out the other side, it's actually a perfect. Feel free to juggle them, essentially. YouTube seems to only notify me about streams when they're almost finished. That is not. That's not good. YouTube do be like that. So yeah, these at least there's some enemies here. I'm kind of thinking that maybe I want to make enemy activators that only start being active after other enemy activators have activated or are finished or something like that. Like an enemy activator would, at that point, they would kind of work like spawners, but spawners I suppose at that point they would just work like spawners, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would. I'm thinking the thing is that enemies that are related to spawners generally I want to like not mark them as being part of the like remembrance system. I don't know how you would describe that. Where if you kill an enemy and you come back into the room, it doesn't respawn the enemy again until you like get to a checkpoint. The bonfire system, essentially. Things that are tied to a spawner always should all spawn, because the challenge of a spawner is to kill all the enemies back to back to back to back to back. But that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. So I could just use a spawner for that. But for now, I don't think I particularly care. It's still a quite big, wide open space here. But again, with some extra art assets, I'm sure that'll... If we just add in some... What state? No, statue. If we add in some other statues, like fucking Cthulhu statue here. That is... like fallen over. Put in some gargoyles that are... Does this have a bottom? Doesn't matter because I'm going to use other assets anyway for these. This kind of thing, right? Where you at least have some kind of breakup in the empty space. It's more proof of concept than actual like assets, obviously. Just need a bunch of that stuff, but that's all not really the relevant stuff for now, I would say. I must say I'm not unhappy with this. I'm not super like pleased with it either necessarily, but I think I'm quite happy with how this level is coming along. So let's do another like walkthrough of it real quick. Now, there's one thing that we actually do need to do is we need to make fucking something to walk across here. So like just one of these. I don't know what I'm gonna give these as far as like their in-world like art assets are concerned. Like what is the motivation of this block being here? But there needs to be a block here is essentially what's going on. Just to walk across and make this jump a little more reasonable. But if I'm gonna do that, I do need to test a couple of things real quick. Because it seems like some of this might be a little bit cheesable. Also, that definitely needs to be better, but... And these need to be better. Yeah, I'm gonna make my own rocks for this. Probably. After all. I said there's only, like... Am I really gonna make my own rocks? The answer is very likely, yeah. If nothing else, to make them fit in a little bit better, but... on the other hand, making just a couple of rocks probably isn't that much work, so it's probably fine. This maybe should, like... I have an idea. Make this a little higher. And make this sag down a little bit onto there. Good enough. Might make the jump a little bit more difficult though. And technically this should be like up there. Which means that this needs to be up a little higher as well. Which might make this jump a little bit more tricky. But if that's grabbable, that's probably fine. Is what I'm thinking. So let's give it a shot. Well, even if it's not grabbable, that's fine. That is, however, not fine. Like decidedly not fine. No, it does need to be a jump. I'll figure it out. We'll just keep this block here as a block for now, and then... Gameplay first. We'll make the rest work later. That's a future me kind of problem. That's not a issue that I'm going to deal with right now. The only issue is that this still does need to make a reasonably doable jump, and it's not really, is it? So maybe what we do is we do make this go down a little lower. And then... just make this plank go a little steeper. I think we can get away with that. Wrong save file. Nope. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so this should make this like a lot more reasonable to get. There we go. And this is fairly trivial to get as well. I can walk across here. Now this is an issue. Yeah, that is a problem. Not an unsolvable problem by any means, because what we can just kind of do is just put some stuff in the way, essentially. So if we just make these parts connect up as well, like this, which realistically they might, right? Doesn't seem too unreasonable to assume that this would connect up like that. With a smaller radius, slightly smaller thickness as a result. So yeah, these two can then be copied over and moved. Oh, these are not even close to the same distance from the O. Yeah, they probably should be. Ooh. At least that'll make that jump easier. Yeah, I'm gonna call that good enough. Yeah, so that means that we don't need this probably, because that makes this jump a lot more doable. Don't know about this jump though. Gonna have to figure that one out. Might need to like stretch both of these out a little bit more. Like Just a smidge more like this. Which actually, we probably should keep this. Nope. At least roughly the same, like, proportions. So that's about 1.2-ish. That doesn't seem right. That's okay. And then this, we can... Sure. That doesn't actually do anything. But what it might do is remove the... Well, actually, that does do something. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but actually, I do think that this does fix my issue. Because we don't have an extra block there anymore now. Because we can just make that jump from one thing right onto the other. Which might solve the issue. That is a tight jump, though. And the fact that a lot of these jumps require the dash, which requires mana to use, also maybe not ideal. Then again, it's probably gonna be like a save point at the start here, I imagine. This is a very good location to have a save point. Also because it'll make for a very cool screenshot for the save icon. Which is like only 80% of the thought process there, to be honest, at the moment. Yeah, so that makes this like laughable. But this still cheesable, right? Yes. I mean, part of that is literally just move it the fuck up. But that this becomes a problem, right? Where this still needs to be reasonable as well. But that would solve that. And honestly, if you make the jump from here and you skip this pillar altogether, that's probably fine. But maybe that's where just an extra block can come in. Maybe just having like an extra block in here. Just to make this part of the jump slightly smoother for people who aren't as comfortable platforming around. Could be a pretty decent way to like deal with this. Yeah, okay, cool. Is there any other potentially cheesable spots that we can take advantage of? I'm sure that there is. You can also clip through the floor. I thought I'd fix that. Something to look into in a moment. That jump needs something. I don't know what yet, but it needs something. Yeah, so I don't even need to try. There's no way in hell that I'm making this. I'm barely higher up to begin with. Oh, nope, never mind. Okay, I mean, solution. There's just going to be a fuck ton of rubble up here anyway, right? So... good luck getting up there. Is kind of what I'm thinking right now. the heating and cooling costs of this structure with the volume that it has, yeah, I wouldn't want to pay for that. I'll be honest. Luckily, I don't need to. So yeah, we can just kind of do it this way, I think. And that will instantly make it less climbable. Doesn't matter if it clips through. We can just make the stair have like a hole in it there. So yeah, that's at this point no longer cheesable. I would wager a guess. I'm gonna check if I can just jump over these things or like jump past them, because like this is definitely passable, right? Well, maybe not. This seems like you can just jump past it with proper like angles. Yeah, there we go. And then I can jump up on this one. Okay, so that is still a thing that you can do. I'm yeah, I'm not thrilled about that. But you know what the wonderful thing is? Once art is more in place, I can kind of just I can simulate that here. Kind of just end the day. You just can't get up that way. Because the staircase as a whole will just be more broken. This is going to be such a pain to actually like model and stuff for, but you know, that'll probably be like at least 8 to 12 months into the future, so I'm not worrying about it too much. It's probably still cheesable, to be honest. These are the kind of things that I'm like, oh man. I just want to make sure that it's at least decently stable to deal with, because otherwise when I send this build out to test players in like 10 months, people are going to get stuck on testing this, which is definitely like not a thing that needs to be tested right now. Because you can do that. Like I but it should be like at least halfway decent. Yeah, so even if you get all the way up here, you just don't jump up high enough, right? So that's the thing. To the point where I can straight up just like put extra things to collect up here if I wanted to. Like I can just put an item down here. And that can be like a fun little challenge to spot and get, because it's literally like not possible to get up here otherwise. And this I'm fairly certain that you just cannot cheese. Like, this is just impossible. It does also make the actual like platforming thing, I think, impossible. Oh no, that's, I think that still would. That would be insane if I accidentally made something that just still works for the normal platforming route. I'd enjoy that. It'd be kind of insane because that would be 1000% an accident. But yeah, all this is now kind of fine. Again, that one jump down there is a little sus, but we'll like think about it and look into it. Yeah, I don't even think. But once you've gotten up here, even if you can choose your way all the way over there, I think I'm kind of fine with that. Because at this point, the only two things is like that jump, and then you're up there anyway. The only thing is, this needs to be like somewhat reasonably doable, but it 1000% is. And then getting back also up is fine. Which actually allows me to test the thing that I was just talking about. So this is, that's kind of cool. Is this jump makeable backwards? It is. Okay, so I'm not entirely well versed in the exploit of using, yeah, so you can do that. There we go. Yeah, so that apparently is an exploit with the combat system. I'm going full Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. For anybody who knows what I'm talking about. The speedrun for Birth by Sleep at various points uses combat mechanics to bypass platforming that you're not supposed to be able to do until later in the game, to like get better abilities and stuff like that. But again, in this case, I don't think I particularly give a shit, because if you're in a position that you can make that anyway, you've done most of the platforming, and it's like maybe slightly faster, but again, it's one of those things where if speedrunners will like it, and it will not affect your average game experience, you probably shouldn't worry too much about fixing it. And this feels like one of those situations where, like, same here. Like, yeah, you can probably, like, make this with an extra attack, saving you having to go through there and there and there. But without it, you don't make that. If you figure out that trick, and the thing is, specifically with this trick, I think I figured it out. You need to not do the last attack in the combo, because that breaks the rhythm, I think. Because if I just do like 1, 2, 1, 2, then 1, you need to wait long enough for the combo to reset in order to do it again. So that does make you lose some height, because the last attack just takes that long to the point where you are starting to lose like height. But being able to use an attack to get a little bit of extra distance, or in some cases maybe even height, who knows. I actually think it's fine. It's definitely something to be aware of while creating platforming, especially like wide open platforming like this. But the fact that it allows you to do like stuff like this, it's kind of fine. Yeah, I don't mind that. Because there's still a certain amount of like timing and skill involved in doing that. Once you know that is a possibility. I'm not going to design anything with that mechanic in mind, I don't think. It would be kind of cool to like make one uber powerful spell and putting it in a position where you can only get it with a good like combo string of those. But deciding that also will require me to be able to like look at it with all the weapons in the game, because some weapons might have a longer reach, a longer combos compared to this as well. I think this will probably be effectively the longest range like exploit combo that you can do in the game. Thinking about what the other weapons are likely going to be. So it's probably fine. Anyway, we made the entrance hall for the church today, and just looking at it like this, I feel quite happy with it. Like, this looks pretty good. Imagine art and textures on this as well. And suddenly this starts looking like a pretty good approximation of like a broken down, abandoned cathedral, which is kind of the vibe that we're going for, with those like staircases going up into the next level, which is what we'll be doing next time. And it's probably going to be a little bit more straightforward than what we did here, because this is supposed to be like pretty big, pretty grand. I like the idea of having this mini boss fight up here accessible only through a different level, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think we made some good progress. So I'll be back on Tuesday doing some more. I will just zoom out a little bit to show the entire dungeon as a whole. This is definitely like the biggest room in the dungeon, and maybe the biggest room in the game so far. I think the platforming challenge in purple is actually about the same size. Oh, we also have the central room in purple, right? That's also pretty big. Well, no, that's definitely smaller. Both of those are definitely smaller. It's pretty big, but not this much. Okay, this is definitely the biggest room we've made so far. So yeah, next time we're gonna do the hallway that leads out of this into the storage room, and then like the washing room, which leads into the like holy room, for lack of a better term, into a staircase up to the central mine shaft again. So next time we'll probably do the hallway and the storage room, where I think the storage room is going to be the combat trial, right? We decided, yeah, storage combat trial. And then this is just like a offshoot and away to the centralized location for the dungeon. So I will do at least these two probably on Tuesday. And if we get around to it, we might do this one as well. This is probably going to be like a Thursday thing for next week, where we might as well do the stairs up to there. And then we only have this, and everything back there to do. So we still have a lot of things to do to make this work. But we're making progress. It's a good time. And thanks everybody for tuning in and hanging out. I will see you all back on the next stream. And of course, the video going up Saturday. I finally made a video about DLSS. So that's going to go up on Saturday, I think. See ya!